The government's tax forum has reached the halfway mark with dozens of proposals, but so far no concrete decisions. The federal government insists the forum will help drive tax reform for the decade ahead. But the opposition says it's a gabfest that's only producing hot air and paperwork. Political correspondent Tom Eagleton reports.
The tax forum's nothing if not inclusive. Wayne Swan wanted ideas and he got plenty of them from the 200 or so delegates.
I've chosen to focus my remarks on the luxury car tax.
We support a Singapore-style cordon model for road congestion charges.
What about a national beverage container deposit system, as in South Australia and the Northern Territory?
With so many ideas, some found it hard to keep up. There might have been more interest had the government not ruled out debate on the carbon tax, the mining tax, taxes on alcohol and the goods and services tax. Rob Oakeshott pushed the government into organising the forum and he wasn't happy.
I assure all that the Parliament itself has not ruled out discussing any of these, and quite obviously all cast a shadow over any considerations out of these 2 days.
The states in particular wanted to talk about the federal government increasing the GST.
So there's a simple equation here. The less heavy listing from the GST, the less capacity to remove further state taxes.
The Queensland Treasurer also called on the states to stop competing against each other in tax cuts and move to harmonise their tax systems.
We should start with payroll tax and then move to land tax. Running separate regimes across state boundaries in a nation of this size is a construct of history, not of grand design.
States told the forum they can't cut taxes like stamp duty unless the federal government tops up their revenue. The New South Wales Treasurer says if the GST's not up for discussion, perhaps other federal government revenue should be.
Income tax sharing, quarantining a part of the income tax to go back to states is a clear way where you can move from inefficient taxes to a much more efficient tax base.
No, I have no appetite for that at all. The fact is the states do have tax bases. What they have to do is use them and use them more fully.
The tax forum comes a year and a half after the Henry Tax Review was handed down. One of its major recommendations was to cut company tax to 25%, something one of the review's panel pushed for again today.
For me, it was a cornerstone reform proposal of the review panel, and it continues to be a major disappointment that we've been so frustrated in moving forward with it. This is important because a strong and growing economy will do much of the heavy lifting when it comes to meeting the long-term fiscal challenge unfolding for Australia over the coming decades.
Those comments were quickly seized upon by union representatives.
This forum can't be allowed to be a vehicle for self-serving business interests that will lobby for a lower corporate tax rate. And with respect to Heather and to Jennifer, I think they've gone a fair way down that path.
It was all too predictable for the author of the Henry Review.
And only, I think, when we can get past these debates about business on the one hand versus Labor on the other, will we then be in a position to make sensible decisions about how we should tax business income.
And so, after a few drinks here tonight, it's on to day 2 for the forum tomorrow. Few, if any, of the proposals have much chance of ever seeing the light of day in legislation. And so, at a cost of around $1 million to stage, it seems the return for taxpayers is a few years off yet. Tom Eagleton, Late Line.